make it, but we will have Aaron King, and Aaron started, I think now 2 years ago, some longevity tech trees, and he has an update on them, and is gonna tell us more about them now, how he thinks, how those tech trees are being developed, how they should be developed, what are like the unsolved problems in longevity science. So yeah, Aaron, the floor is yours.
All right. All right. We're going to make this a bit short. So yeah, I'm filling in for Peter Fedichev. My name is Aaron King. I'm going to talk about a project which I'm less involved in now, but I was running it back a little while ago. Are we starting? Okay. So this is a longevity tech tree project. Are we? Okay. So it's spearheaded by Foresight Institute. Foresight is an organization based in the California Bay Area that does advocacy for future-facing technologies, one of which is longevity, but they're interested in AI and other things like that. Allison, who is actually here at this conference somewhere, probably in the main room, is president of Foresight. She's doing a terrific job over there. So this was a diagram that I made back in 2017 about like longevity organizations. I tried to connect them all and see who knew who and who was involved in what. Obviously a little bit messy. And then around the same time, I also wrote this thing called The Current State of the Pursuit of Biological Immortality. And it was basically, I wanted to get all the information, like every theory, every concept about aging and aging biology in one place. This document was so long that at the end of it, I didn't even want to read it myself. So I was just like, okay, that's great and all. And it's great. A lot of people make summaries like this. But the question is, how do we turn that into something more digestible? So this concept came up, which is to try to build a diagram of all these longevity concepts, put them all in the same place, and see how they're all connected to each other. So this prototype was coded by Nilesh Trivaldi, and it's available online. You can actually take a look at it right now if you want to. It's a prototype. Aesthetically, it could be improved, but there's a lot of information there. The tech trees eventually made their way into a scientific paper. Colin Ewald, who's one of the extracellular matrix aging experts in the world, decided, hey, this is pretty cool. Let's make it into an actual paper. And Cecilia Park did heroic amounts of work on this paper. She did almost everything, I think. So the rest of us kind of helped out. But here's the diagram, one of the diagrams that was in there. And it's loosely based on the tech tree concept. Which is to say, like, what are the diagnostics, what are the interventions that can be done, what are the problems in the field, like what pathologies emerge from all the problems that emerge from aging. So yeah, that's all in the past. At this stage, the project is kind of going into another user interface model, which is a lot cleaner, a lot better. Spearheaded by Martin over at lateral.io. So they're building this system. It's got GPT-4 integration, can automatically generate portions of these tech trees. It's got cleaner, more robust user interface and better scalability. So I think it's going to be a lot better in terms of just like trying to organize the entire field and just try to put it in one place so you can see what's going on, who's doing what's happening, and what the problems are. What's the bottlenecks to progress? Honestly, short talk. That's about it. Any questions or? Sure.
Thank you, Aaron, for the quick oversight. Who has questions?
Hey. Just wanted to get some more information on what lateral I/O is, like all these tools that you just glossed over.
That's a good question. They build, I guess, tools for engaging in scientific research and like just inquiries. They have a lot of AI expertise as well as, I guess, road mapping expertise. So this is an early version. There's a lot of features that are missing from this, but I think that the underlying code is a lot better than what used to be there, and we'll be able to port over the old tech tree into this thing. The big thing that they can add to this is about, you take a question that you might have about a certain aspect of aging, and you can just have AI come in and explode that portion with a whole bunch of ideas and links to other things automatically. So I think it'll be a lot faster to try to build out a model of what's happening in the field using this tool. But yeah, does that answer, or did you just? Yeah. Yeah.
I think to build on that question is, how is this differentiated from what we just heard about? It sounds like this would almost, as it matures, be more like a way to coordinate research opposed to necessarily extract Q&A.
Ideally, yeah, you'd be able to see like, okay, like who's working in senescence right now? Like you could see everyone, like, and what they're doing and how what they're doing overlaps with each other or fits together. The whole ecosystem should be easily observed, like at a glance. There's other organizations that are doing stuff like this. I think Ajax, or one of those organizations where they have this like report that they put out every year. They have this this mind map, which they only started doing after they saw what I was doing. But I'll leave that. So, but they have this map of companies, right? And the problem with their map is that it doesn't really tell you contextually like how they all fit together or what the scope of each of those companies is working on. People try to use financials like this company's worth X billion, this company's worth X million. That doesn't really tell you the scope of what they're working on either. It just tells you how much greed there is in the system. So it'd be nice to see like who's working on what, how does it all fit together to try to solve the end goal.
Not to monopolize here, but what is your plan going forward, like a year out?
For this project, you know, it kind of cooled off a little bit. So the original plan was to try to map out everything in the space and then keep it updated and make sure that everybody, you could know who was doing what. I think that's still a pretty good goal. At this point, I think developing a really good UI, allowing people to interact with it a lot easier, I think that's a pretty good goal for the short term. It's totally possible to have this thing encapsulate all of the aging field. It just requires the will to do so. You had a question?
Did you say this was kind of auto-updated, like so that you wouldn't have to do anything yourself to keep it updated? I think the idea of keeping track what everyone's doing and
yeah, no, it's not going to.
That's obviously huge.
You can't automate it. There's no way to automate it.
But you could scrape preprints and these types of things.
Yeah,
right?
you can, yeah. But you know the way Wikipedia works, which is the closest thing to this, is that there's just a group of dedicated people that are like they just really want to know stuff. So Wikipedia, the way that is, it's like there's a really small number of power users that write most of the articles, and it's probably going to end up being the same thing for this if people are interested. So that's the question: is like, are people going to be interested in this enough to really? There was a team of people for the longevity tech tree. There's also longevity wiki, which is kind of overlap, kind of similar. So I don't know. It's going to have to be manual, though. I'm pretty sure.
Right. So this project that you're talking about, you're saying it has a lot of overlap with Lateral and with Wiki. So the project that you're working on, the tech tree, is adjacent to these, or it's a copy of these, or?
Yeah, and I should reiterate. So like I was spearheading this. I'm not anymore, but I'm kind of still involved a bit. So there's overlap, but nobody else is doing the kind of graphical display that is really, this graphical display is, I think, like the reason, like it makes it easier to see the nature of progress, to see what the bottlenecks are, and what's stopping each individual field from progressing in terms of, and And it's not so much business-oriented. It's going to be, in my opinion, I'd like to see it science-oriented. So like, for instance, in autophagy, the entire field of autophagy is held back by the fact that you can't measure autophagy in vivo in near real time. If that happens, then you get like multiple massive breakthroughs. If they can get that to occur, it's going to lead to all sorts of breakthroughs in that field. People don't quite understand like what each of these little linchpins are for the various technologies. So it should be highlighted, should be very visible, so that you know if you go into a field that you're not going to be wasting your time working on some aspect of it that really isn't going to go anywhere unless this other thing is unlocked first.
Right, so it seems like having all the information about who's working on what would be very helpful for the consensus of the field. Where are you getting the data from? Is there any way, like what would you need? What relationships or information would you need to keep this updated?
So the way that I built it so far was I've been talking directly to most of the people in the field. A lot of the heads of various pieces of longevity have directly contributed to this tech tree, and a lot of them are actually at this conference. So it was a bunch of human knowledge. I don't like the automatic scraping. Are we good on time? Or
yeah.
Okay, all right. I think that's the best way to go about doing things, is just talking to people directly and getting the type of information that you really can't find from their website or from reading their papers. It's a bunch of the nuance that allows you to see past like the marketing ploys and see what's actually holding back progress.
Perfect. If we don't have any more questions, thank you,
That's
Aaron.
awesome.
Perfectly on time. And let's give him a round of applause.